All righty. Good evening, everybody. Alan Cashman here. We're going to go over my 2023 NCAA tournament bracket. Do this in about 15 or 20 minutes to get through this, I think. Um, Before we get into it, if you want to become a Picks member for March Madness and beyond, go to TheCashmanwins.com. A lot of different options there for $1 a week or less. Very affordable options for any bankroll. So go there, take a look at TheCashmanwins.com. And if you're watching this, please like, subscribe, share any way you can. It really does help out. We're trying to build this up. We're going to do weekly. We've been doing the Cashman's Playbook on Saturdays. We'll continue that through the baseball season as well. And then we'll have some things coming up once football season starts. We'll be doing a Thursday evening show with picks for the football weekend. So please like, subscribe, share, help get the word out. Let's get into the bracket here. You can also, if you want to join our bracket challenge, go to ESPN. It's the Cashman's contest, and winning bracket gets free picks for a year. Second and third place bracket will get free picks for the upcoming Major League Baseball season. So go to the Cashman's contest at ESPN Men's Tournament Challenge, and also have links to it on Twitter as well at the Cashman Wins. Okay. So we'll go through the bracket. I'm going to do each region, and we'll take each region one at a time all the way up through the Final Four, and then I'll move on to the next region, and we'll just go all the way through it that way. So I'm going to start in the South. Alabama, the number 1 seed in the South region. We'll take them in their first round game to advance. And then we've got, after that, we got the 8-9 game, Maryland versus West Virginia. This should be a close game. I think West Virginia has played better coming into this. The winners 3 of their last 4. So I'm going to I'll take West Virginia to beat Maryland here. I think it'll be a close game. Should be a good game. The 5-12 in this region is San Diego State and Charleston. Now, Charleston, they've got 31 wins coming into the season. Not been a great three-point shooting team as far as percentage-wise, but they shoot a lot of threes. They shoot more teams than any team in the nation. And defending three-point teams is something that San Diego State has done well. But Charleston, they're also number 68 in the nation in two-point shooting. They're a pretty good offensive rebounding team as well. They get some second chance points. And Charleston balanced. They've got 5 players that average between 10 and 13 points a game. So I think it's a close game, but I'm going to take Charleston in a 5-12 upset here. So we'll take Charleston to move on to the second round. The 4-13 in this region is Furman and Virginia. Furman's offense leads the nation in 2-point field goal percentage. They were a good team on the road this year as well. They went 8-3 in road games. I think this is a dangerous game for Virginia. Virginia, not a very good rebounding team. They're not a good free throw shooting team. So if it gets close, things like that could make a difference. I think it's a game that Virginia has to worry about. I'm not sure what it means as a Thursday game, but Furman is 22-4 against the spread in their last 26 Thursday games. So if you're going to bet this against the spread, I don't know if it means anything or not, but it's a pretty ridiculous number for a particular day of the week. I'm going to lead Virginia here, but I think it's a game, like I said, I think they've got to be careful here, capable of losing this one, but I still am going to take Virginia to move on in this round. Creighton and NC State are the 6-11 matchup here in this region. Creighton, they beat Xavier, they beat UConn, beat Providence in the conference. They nearly beat Marquette. Lost by 5 at Texas earlier in the season. They're a good team. I think they're the better team here, and I like them to advance over NC State. The 3-11 in this region, Baylor and Cal Santa Barbara. Both teams can score. I think I saw a total of 143. Might lean on the over there. But as far as the game goes, I think Baylor's going to move on here. So they'll advance. The 7-10 here, Missouri and Utah State. Now, this is a good Utah State team. Missouri has been a good offensive team, but they're not a very good defensive team. Utah State has been better than Missouri from three-point range. They're a good rebounding team as well. The numbers say to take Utah State. I went back and forth on this. I think it's close, but I'm going to go ahead and take Utah State to move on here. And I think they're actually a slight favorite in this game too, but I'm going to take Utah State to advance here in the 7-10 matchup. And then the 2-15 matchup here is Arizona and Princeton. I'm going to go ahead and take Arizona to move on there. So let's round out the go into the round of 32 here. So we'll have Alabama versus West Virginia. I'm going to take Alabama to move on there. We'll have Virginia and Charleston, and I'm going to take Virginia to advance. Creighton, Baylor, I'm going to take Creighton to move on to the Sweet 16. And then I'm going to take Arizona to beat Utah State to move on to the Sweet 16 in the South. Sweet 16 matchup, Alabama, Virginia, we'll take Alabama. Creighton and Arizona, we'll take Arizona here, which will lead us to a Elite Eight matchup of Alabama and Arizona, and I'm going to take Alabama to advance to the Final Four out of the South region. I think that's probably what most people are going to pick here. Alabama is playing very well. They're a very good team. So I'm going to take them to advance to the Final Four out of the South. That'll take us to the East region. That's Purdue, the number 1 seed in that region. We'll take Purdue to advance in round 1 over the 16 seed. 8-9 matchup here is Memphis and Florida Atlantic. Now, this might be one of the best games of the first round. Very similar teams and a lot of statistics here. I like Dusty May in the coaching matchup over Penny Hardaway. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm going to take Florida Atlantic here to advance to the second round in the 8-9 matchup. The 3-12, Duke and Oral Roberts. Duke playing as good as anyone right now. I don't think – now Oral Roberts playing well too. I don't think Oral Roberts has lost since I think it was January 9th. So they haven't lost in a while. They're playing really well. But this is going to be a step up in class for them here. And when they've done that this season, they lost by 40 at Houston and they lost by 10 at Utah State earlier in the season. Duke is playing about as well as anybody right now. Got hot, got good at the right time. I'm going to take the Blue Devils here as a 3 seed to advance to the next round. The 4-13 matchup here is Tennessee and Louisiana Lafayette. Tennessee has not played well on the road. I'm still going to take them here to advance. Louisiana has double-digit losses against the 2 teams they have faced that made this tournament. That's Texas and Drake. I think Tennessee's defense will end up being too much here. I'm going to take Tennessee to advance in the 4-13 matchup here. Kentucky and Providence at 6-11. I like Providence a lot earlier this year, but they're not playing very well right now. Kentucky had a couple of losses late to Vanderbilt, but they were starting to play well. They bounced back in the first loss to beat Arkansas. Then they lost in the tournament to conference tournament to Vanderbilt, who's playing well themselves, just missed the tournament. I'm going to take Kentucky to advance here as a 6 seed. Don't love either team, but I'm going to take – I think Kentucky's playing a little better right now. I'm going to take them to move on. Kansas State and Montana State, the 3-14 here. Expecting kind of an ugly game. Good year for Kansas State against the Big 12, I'm sorry. I'm going to take Kansas State to advance in the 3-14 matchup. The 7-10 matchup here, we got Michigan State and USC. Michigan State, they've been slightly better offensively. USC's been the better defensive team. I could see really here, I don't have a strong feeling, but you got to pick one. So I'm going to take Arizona State to advance here and end been kind of a disappointing year for Tom Izzo's team. So I'll take USC as a 10 seed to advance here. And then the 2-15 is Marquette and Vermont. I will take a very good Marquette team here to advance to the next round. And then we'll look at this East bracket. So we'll have a second round matchup of Purdue and FAU. I'm going to take FAU in the upset here. Watched a little bit of there. I've watched a lot of Purdue recently. I've watched FAU. Purdue's really good when Edey can push and bully people around, and that's against a lot of teams. There's not many teams that have got guys as big as Edey, or I don't know if anyone's got anyone as big as Edey, but FAU does have a 7-1 center from Russia. Not nearly as broad as what Zach Edey is, but he's a good player, and he's someone that'll give Edey a little bit of problems there, I think, down low, and that means Purdue has to rely on their guards, and that's something that's inconsistent, has been. When their guards haven't played well, they've struggled a little bit. FAU, good guards. And like I said, I think they've got a guy that they're not going to – Edey's going to get his double-double no matter what. But 16-10 versus 30-20. I think this guy, the Russian that plays for Florida Atlantic, can slow Edey down just a little bit. I'm going to take FAU in the upset. They've been a kind of a Cinderella story all year, had a great year. I'm going to take them. I'll take Duke over Tennessee. I will take Kentucky over Kansas State, and then I'm going to take Marquette over USC in the field of 32. So the Sweet 16, I'll take Duke over Florida Atlantic, and I will take Marquette over Kentucky, and then I will take Marquette over Duke, and that'll put Marquette in the Final Four facing Alabama. So let's move on to the Midwest here. Did I leave? I think I left someone off. Who was the one there? Yeah, Houston. Yeah, I've got Houston moving on against Northern Kentucky. No problem there. So we've got Auburn and Iowa, the 8-9 matchup here. I'm going to go with Auburn here. A good defensive team for Auburn. They're not as good as they have been on offense. Iowa, a good offensive team, but they're not a very good defensive team. Hawkeyes, number 308 in the nation in effective field goal percentage allowed. Iowa allowing opponents 52% from the field in their last 5. Auburn's coming off a close loss to a good Arkansas team. Not as good as they've have been, but still a good, respectable Arkansas team this year. And Auburn took Alabama to an overtime loss less than 2 weeks ago. A game is in Birmingham as well, so you might have some Auburn people there at this game you're going to have. So I'm going to take Auburn here over Iowa to move on. The 5-12 in this Midwest, Miami and Drake. This is a lot of people like Drake. They've had a nice season. They're playing really well. 2 good offensive teams. Drake has been the better defensive team looking at the numbers. Like I said, Bulldogs playing very well. You got to have some upsets. We've had a couple. I'm going to go ahead and take Drake to sneak by a Miami team that I really liked earlier this year. And like I said, this is a close one. I could see either team moving on here, and it's going to be, I think, a close game. I'm going to go ahead and take Drake here to move on to the next round of the field of 32. 4-13 matchup are Hoosiers versus Kent State. Now, I've watched some Kent State tape here in the last couple of days. They look like they have some guys from their football team playing. This is a big, broad, thick team, a physical team. If the Indiana guards don't show up here, and they've been inconsistent, if they don't show up here and hit some shots, Indiana's going to lose this game. I'm going to take Indiana to win, but IU's going to need Galloway, Kopp, Bates. They're going to need all their help here to hit some shots. It's going to be a physical game. I'll take Indiana here, but if they come out and have one of these games where they're just not shooting very well, they're going to be on upset alert. But we'll take the Hoosiers to go on to the next round here. Iowa State versus either Mississippi State or Pitt, and we'll take Iowa State to move on there. Going to take Xavier at the 3-14. I'll take them to move on over Kennesaw State. And then, let's see. Yeah, then we'll go Penn State versus Texas A&M. I think this is a close one. Penn State's last 7 games in conference have all come against NCAA tournament teams. So they've won 6 of those games, and they gave Purdue a scare Sunday in the Big Ten tournament late. So Texas A&M, they've won 5 of 6. They beat Alabama. They beat Arkansas. My gut says A&M here. I think the numbers and the research probably lean a little bit to Penn State. Penn State's been a very good offensive team. They're 9th in the nation in 3-point shooting percentage. Texas A&M is not a great offensive team, but their defense is number 23 in field goal percentage allowed. I'm going to lean Texas A&M here to move on. I think they are the better team. I think they played they played some tough teams this year in the SEC. I'm going to take Texas A&M to move on. We'll take Texas in the 2-15 matchup against Colgate. Colgate's a good shooting team. They lead the nation in 3-point percentage. They're 7th in 2-point percentage. They might keep this close in the first half, but I think you'll see Texas. They've got 2 double-digit wins over Kansas in the last 2 weeks. They're going to win this one and move on. And then we'll go here to the round of 32 in this region. We're going to take Houston over Auburn. We'll take Indiana to get by Drake. We're going to take Xavier to get over Iowa State, and then I'm going to take Texas A&M here to upset Texas and move on to the Sweet 16. In the Sweet 16, I'm also going to take Texas A&M to beat Xavier. And then I will take Houston over Indiana, Kelvin Sampson, and getting to face the Hoosiers again. And then I'm going to take in the Elite Eight, I will take Texas A&M to upend Houston. So they will be probably they're going to be a surprise Final Four pick for me. I'm going to take Texas A&M to get to the Final Four out of the Midwest region. So that leaves us one region. That's going to leave us the West. Kansas is the number 1 seed there. We'll take Kansas to move on over Howard. The 8-9 matchup, Arkansas and Illinois. I thought I'd really like Arkansas here before I got into the numbers. When I started getting into the numbers, it's a good closer than I thought. I don't trust Illinois. I don't think they played very well. I'm going to take Arkansas in my bracket, I think, but numbers-wise, it's pretty close. But I will take Arkansas in the 8-9 to move on to the next round. St. Mary's, VCU. St. Mary's, hard to go against them here, but I don't know. They beat, I think they beat Gonzaga earlier this year, and then they got blown out by them the last time they played. VCU comes in playing really well. They're shooting over 50% over their last 5 games. They're holding opponents to just over 40% shooting that span. I'm going to take VCU to pull off the upset here. I think they only bid out of the Atlantic 10 this year, so I'm going to take VCU in the upset and the 5-12 in the West. The 4-13 in this region is UConn and Iona. I'm going to take Connecticut to get over on Rick Pitino's Iona team. So we'll take Connecticut to advance. The 6-11 is TCU against either Nevada or Arizona State. I think either of those 11 seed teams, whichever team it is, I think they could both give TCU a little bit of trouble. But I'm going to take TCU to advance here. And we've got Gonzaga, 3-14 versus Grand Canyon. We'll take Gonzaga to move on there. The 7-10 in this region is Northwestern and Boise State. Expecting a lower scoring game here, probably a game in the lower 60s. 2 good defensive teams. Boise's been slightly better defensively, and they're a much better offensive team than Northwestern. I will take Boise State on the 10 seed here to move on. And then we'll have UCLA 2-15 over UNC Asheville. We'll take UCLA to move on to the field of 32 in the West, and then we'll wrap up the West here. We'll take UCLA. Let's start at the top. We'll take Kansas over Arkansas. So Kansas to the Sweet 16. We'll take UConn over VCU. We'll take Gonzaga over TCU, and I'm going to take UCLA over Boise State. So in the Sweet 16 here, I'll take Gonzaga over UCLA. UCLA, one of my favorites early on. They've had some injuries now. I could still see them sliding through here, but I'm going to take Gonzaga to knock them off here in this matchup. We'll have Kansas and UConn. I'm going to take UConn to upend Kansas. Kansas, I don't know. They've got a couple bad losses to Texas here in the last several weeks. And I don't know. I just don't know that this is the 1 seed, but something about them. They're just not the Kansas that I've expect. So I'm not sure that they're the team that I think is going to win it all this year. I'm gonna take UConn to knock them off here, and then I'll take UConn to get past Gonzaga. So that will put UConn in the Final Four versus Texas A&M. So I've got Alabama and Marquette on one side. I've got Texas A&M and UConn on the other. I'm going to take Alabama over Marquette, and I'm going to take UConn over Texas A&M, and then I will take Alabama to win the national championship. They've been the best team in college basketball, I think, this year. I had the score needed for a tiebreaker for the bracket I'm submitting. I've got 77-71 Alabama over UConn in the national championship. So Final Four that I have on my bracket: Alabama, Marquette, Texas A&M, UConn. I have Alabama over UConn in the national championship, 77-71. So again, become a Picks member. Go to TheCashmanwins.com. Right now, you can get 1 year all sports that'll get you basically through next year's March Madness, football, baseball, everything. 1 year, $52. That's $1 a week. The deal of the day that I put out on Twitter: 2 years, you can get everything, the same stuff, for $69. That's regularly $149. So take advantage of that if you're interested in becoming a member. Go to TheCashmanwins.com. Again, wherever you're watching this, please like, share, subscribe. It helps out a lot. And wherever you're watching this, share in the comment section. Twitter or YouTube, share what your thoughts are, who your final four picks are, if you've got a Cinderella, or what you think about the tournament. I would love to read your thoughts. So hope you all have a good night. I thank you for taking a few minutes to listen to me here, and enjoy the tournament. Thanks, guys.